New Year's objectives and resolutions with the MacVoices live panel. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter to keep you up on all the latest from MacVoices. Watch or listen to MacVoices straight from your email client. Sign up at macvoices.com/newsletter and stay up to date. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's Tuesday night. It's our first Tuesday night back in 2022. It is 8 p.m. Eastern, actually a couple minutes after. So that makes it a couple minutes after 5 p.m. Pacific and a couple minutes after whatever top of the hour it is, wherever you are. We are live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We'd love to have you join us. We already have some friends hanging out in the chat room with us, and it can only get better from here or go downhill from here. I'm not sure which. So let's find out who's here tonight, and then we'll go from there. Taking my screen, as I always do, first up, Mr. Jeff Gamet is here. Jeff, welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Chuck. And as always, it's a treat to get to hang out with you and everyone else.
Well, it's a treat for me, too. The last couple weeks, obviously the holidays and everything, and schedules just didn't line up, but I really missed it. So, Mr. Guy Searle's back. Guy, welcome. Again.
Thank you. It is good to be here. It has been a little while since I've been able to join you guys.
Yeah, it has. It has. I'm glad you made it back. David Ginsburg is here from, he might be arguably the coldest part of the country right now, I think. What do you think, David?
Yeah, it's pretty cold here. This morning it was, and I sent you that text, but it's warmed up. So, but it is cold. But Happy New Year to everybody, and as you said, I missed you guys being here, and glad we're back in the saddle here in 2022.
Yep, in the saddle and ready to ride into the sunset.
That's right.
Speaking of sunset, Mr. Jim Ray is here.
It's 70 degrees here.
Yeah, well, don't want to hear it.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks. Appreciate that.
And the sun it's still not quite dark in the sky, so it's appropriate.
Okay, good. Brittany Smith is with us again as well. Brittany, welcome. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we missed you. There were a couple shows we did, I guess, without you.
I know.
There's this big empty hole in the screen where you should be.
I know. And then if Kelly doesn't show up, where's all the curly hair? It's a whole thing.
I used to have curly hair.
Good point.
I'll go do my hair, Brittany.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'll work on it, Brittany.
Okay.
Last but absolutely not least, Andrew Orr is with us. Andrew, it's good to have you back too. We haven't seen you for a little while. Glad you made it back.
Yeah, I didn't know that this was the first show of this year, but now that I know that, I feel we have to make this show really crazy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Give us encouragement.
Yeah, you picked the right group for that, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah. We should say that we weren't here last week just because, none of us, including me, went to CES, but there was an event on Tuesday night. And because of the time zones and everything, it overlapped with this. So we just decided to give ourselves a little bit of an extra break. I ended up staying up till 1:30 in the morning watching that particular event. But it was good. It was good. I missed being in Vegas, but what are you going to do?
Not die, so go you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were safe.
Interesting. I don't know if you guys saw it, but when CES sent out their wrap-up email, they said that they had welcomed over 40,000 people. Now, to keep that in perspective for those of you that don't know, the last regular CESs had pushed closer to 200,000.
Right.
So
40,000. That's just like who's in the airport when you land at CES.
Yeah.
Did they do a drum circle?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it was interesting to see, at different times of day, they were showing different aspects of the convention center. And, at noon, it looked more like it usually does at 7 a.m. when people were just starting to get in. So I applaud the folks that went. I hope they all got home safe. and everything, but man, that's not a lot of people. So anyway, so we wanted to start out again, since this is our first show of 2022, with some tech resolutions, and I said tech resolutions or objectives, because resolutions always, those are the kind of things you can ignore. You maybe just make just because it's New Year's. But I want to see if anybody, has any resolutions or objectives for 2022 that they want to accomplish. So I'll just throw it open. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. I have one that I will share, but I want somebody else to go first. So who would like to go first?
Well, my resolution is to find a good microphone and stick to that microphone for the entire year.
Okay, where's Guy Searle? What have you done with him? And who are you?
Is that like so you're gonna lose weight? And we always
no. See, I'm not worried about losing weight. I'm the inconsistency of my audio is making me insane, more so than
Guy.
usual. So.
When I work with people and we set goals, usually we try to make sure that they're realistic. So maybe start sticking to a microphone for 3 months.
Okay. Well, I have to admit, I do have an Elvis style microphone on the way. So
no surprise.
It may get pushed back a little, but I am working on just getting the sound good enough and sticking with that and leaving it at that. That's the plan.
He didn't put a time
Then we'll work
frame
our
on
way
it.
up. After the 3 months, we'll check in and see where you are with your microphones. Then
I've been
maybe
trying
up to
for
6
15
months.
years.
He
3
didn't put a
months.
time frame on this. He could find the mic on December 20th and then use it for the rest of the year.
For 10 days.
The
And then
rest
it's
of the
like,
year,
oh,
not for a year. Oh, okay.
That's what he
You wanna
said.
check- Ricky, you want to check back in 3 months? How about 3 hours?
tomorrow.
So you're saying that's not baby steps enough?
I get
Yeah.
blamed for everything I do.
Just mic related. Yeah.
That's the
Oh.
worst.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that's an achievable objective, but it's admirable anyway. Anybody else have anything? No, nobody wants to improve. themselves.
I have a problem with New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
And my problem is that I feel like in many cases, people will contrive something so that they can say, this is the thing I'm going to do this year. And then they set themselves up for a failure because it's not something they were going to do anyhow. And so I'm not into New Year's resolutions. Also, someone needs to make the joke. My New Year's resolution is 4K.
And someone just did make the joke.
Yeah, and so with that out of the way, how about if I tell you something different that I'm doing this year, and it's only coincidental that it's in the new year, and I am starting down what could be a potentially dangerous and expensive path, which is experimenting with different types of keyboards. Because
Jeff.
I know.
Jeff.
The
I
problem
thought
that I've had,
microphones were bad.
I know. The problem that I've had is that when you have a cat, it's very easy to have a keyboard that just stops working. And with a lot of keyboards, that's it. There's just no easy way to work with them and to clean them out. So I thought, okay, I can pick up a Keychron keyboard and put blue keys in it, so it's as close as I can get to the keyboard that I was using. And now I have something that I can disassemble when I need to. But I'm also very well aware of the Pandora's box that I just opened.
I can't remember if you were on the shows with Mike Schmitz when he was talking about them, but I know if you haven't talked to him, you definitely need to talk to him because he has a very definite passion for keyboards.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, I went with Keychron because one of the keyboards that he had, I guess, just picked up during one of the shows or right before one of the shows what was a Keychron, and I went and took a look at what he liked, and I thought, not quite what I want, but look at this other one they have. And now here we are.
Okay.
I recently bought a Magic keyboard with Touch ID, and I love it.
Oh, cool.
That would be expensive to replace every couple of months, though.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
He doesn't have
You,
a cat.
Jeff.
I
You
do
don't
have a cat, but the keyboard I had before was the Apple keyboard that had the AA batteries in it, and which still works. But so I don't know. Cat doesn't walk on my keyboard. I have a Keychron too, but you know what? Heresy. I don't like it.
You know, Jim, the way I see it, it's like underpants. Everyone has their favorite, and just because you feel really comfortable in one pair, doesn't mean I'll feel comfortable.
I
in
really
it too.
wanted to like it, and it's beautiful. I just don't like typing on it.
Yeah, it's funny. I listened to Mike, and it'll be interesting to see what Jeff's reaction is. But I'm not that much of a keyboard snob. I whatever keyboard sits in front of me is usually pretty good. Once in a while, I'll run into one that I don't care for, but for the most part, the Apple keyboards are fine. The keyboards that have been on the MacBooks are fine. The keyboard that's on my my Magic what's the Magic keyboard for the iPad is fine. It's just they're just different. But
Chuck, did you ever type on a manual typewriter much?
yeah, I learned on a manual. Yeah.
I think that is the reason. Me too. If you learned on that, then any electronic keyboard is going to be like so wonderful that
Everything else is gravy.
yeah.
Wow, never thought about that, Jim. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, because boy, once you moved to this electric, back in those days, that was a dream. So,
Just hear it in my head.
yeah.
With the spinning ball.
My mother was a secretary and worked not only for various people in the South Florida area, but also for my father's business. And it sounded like Morse code when she would, really, really get flying, because she was probably in the neighborhood of 110, 120 words a minute. Her fingers would just fly over that keyboard.
That's some serious typing right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Especially with a Selectric. Now, she had an old Royal that she started off with that she wasn't nearly as fast at, but once she got that Selectric, it was like, Johnny bar the door, because there was some serious keyboard flinging going on.
Andrew, you're quiet. Do you participate in the New Year's resolution ritual?
Not to be a downer, but I don't. I don't think I've ever really made a New Year's resolution.
Okay. Well, I don't mind sharing one I have. I've over the holidays took just a couple days off, or maybe I should say just ended up taking a couple days away from the keyboard. And man, the amount of spam I got was just terrifying. Even though I use SaneBox and it gets compartmentalized, and I use Gmail, of course, that filters out a bunch of stuff. I don't know who's selling my email addresses to whom, but so one of the things I'm trying to do
It's me.
Thank you, Jeff. But one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take 10 emails a day that are junk and try the unsubscribe to see if it works. If it doesn't, then I will use the one feature in SaneBox to banish it forever. But it just it's completely out of control. And I found that I was missing some emails because there was so much junk in my secondaries folder that I didn't even know they were there until I actually went through and really, really cleaned it out. So far I've done pretty good. I think I've what do we have here? Today's the 11th day. I think I've hit 8 days that I've done 10 a day and gotten rid of them first thing in the morning. And so far they haven't come back. So we'll see.
Chuck, the email thing is it sucks ass. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I've seen so many people that get so obsessed with trying to hit inbox 0 that the goal becomes 0 and not processing and dealing with other emails. And I went a completely different direction. And so instead of trying to clear out my inbox, which the actual unread message count in there is probably easily in the 5 digits. And I don't care because I set up smart folders that filter route. So I'm only seeing what I want and I actually never go look at my inbox. And it's been incredibly effective for me to be able to deal with the email that actually matters. And then I can just pretend like the rest doesn't exist.
I don't do inbox 0, but boy, I sure couldn't ignore the inbox. But maybe the difference is, I could have random customers that I've never heard from or potential customers. And actually a problem I have is that, I get stuff in the spam folder that's not spam. So I have to look there too, which sucks.
I do occasionally have to check my spam, of course.
Take a glance.
Yeah. But with my multiple smart folders, I haven't actually had to look at my inbox for a long time. And
but if email comes in from someone that you've never heard of, how is that going to wind up in a smart folder?
Because I have a smart folder that looks at all new messages that are unread, that are not currently matching with my spam corpus, that have come in the last 48 hours.
So Jeff,
how's that different from your inbox?
It's part of it's psychological, sure, but there's a couple other things that I have set up in there as well. But that's one that I go and look at just to see if there's anything that I have missed, and because it's showing just new messages, a lot of those same messages are showing up in my other smart folders, and where I can focus on what they are in whatever the context is. Then once I've checked that message, read the message, it's going to disappear in that other smart folder. So when I go and look at that, which is after I finish looking at everything else, that becomes the place where I can just scan quickly and look and see if there's something that I have missed that actually matters.
So, Jeff, I have to explore this just for a second. First of all, I'm kind of with Jim. How many smart folders do you have set up? And in what application do you have them set up?
I have them set up in Mail. I have a lot, but I have like 5 that I use all the time, and they're just different contexts, if you will. And then the others, I just look and see, do I have a new message count in any of these other smart folders? And if so, then I can go and look, because those are going to be like more specific things, like specific people or specific companies, specific clients. And then I can go and check those things. And of those, I guess 5 that I have that I check on a regular basis, there's like 3 that I'm in all the time. And of the 3, one of them is kind of like at the bottom of my top 3. So I'd say I'm really living in 2 smart mailboxes all the time, a 3rd one on a regular basis, a bunch that I look at only when I see something flagged, like, new message in one of these others. And then I have that catch-all that I check once or twice a day. And then the actual inbox, who cares?
Okay. I mean, this. I love these discussions just because it's fascinating to hear everybody's different way of approaching. In this case, email. It's what works for you. I'm not a slave to inbox 0. I mean, would it be nice? But I just don't worry about it because that there's just way too much pressure that 5 minutes before I'm ready to go to bed, an email comes in. Oh my God, I've got to get it out before I go to bed. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've played with the smart folder thing or trying to put filters in, and I end up spending so much time creating different filters that it's just easier to deal with them, real quick and make the big trick is making a decision for me. Okay, I open an email from Jeff. Okay, if it needs to be acted upon, I'll either act on it or put it somewhere. But if it's something from, say, Guy that is completely frivolous, then no, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way I deal with that is this something that I need to and can address right now? Yes, done. If not, then forward the email to OmniFocus, and then it becomes part of my my tasks.
Brittany, you do anything?
So technically they're not resolutions, but I do like to start the year thinking about what do I expect the year to look like and what are some of the things I'm striving for. I wouldn't quite call it a theme either because it doesn't have a kitschy title, but sort of what do I expect to do this year? What are some of my work goals for the year or personal goals? And so this year I am working on expanding by doing less. And so I hope to interact with things like my email less by having somebody else do it. And so that is my first project of the year is looking into hiring some help so that I'm doing less of that stuff.
Okay, delegation. I like it.
That's the goal. And some things I'll do more, but in a more targeted and planned way. Like I'm also looking at hiring somebody to help with some marketing things. And so, yeah, those are some of my goals I'm in the middle of to try to work smarter would be the kitschy word for it. But yeah. So what I'm doing will be targeted and some of it less of it.
So I don't want to go too far down this, but at the same time, so is this when you're looking to hire, are you going to be using the online resources or are you looking for virtual assistants that might be, in Guam, but they can handle your email for you? Or what is your thinking along those lines?
Honestly, exactly all those questions is why I haven't done it until now. Because just thinking about it, sent me down decision paralysis. And so I said, well, I know somebody who advises small business owners, so I'm going to talk to them. Okay. So that's what I'm hoping will yield fruit.
Good. I hope you come back and share, what you can, if you don't mind, because I think that's something that all of us would. You're right. We dream about it, and it's like, well, let's see. Yeah, pretty much everybody in this panel is probably too much of a control freak to do it, to give up too much, but maybe not everything. The chat room says, Brian says tech related. Well, first of all, he said resolution may be 4K. Yeah, thanks, Brian. But tech related, though, continue to work on various home automations to help with efficiency. Good one. And Bob Beach says, my New Year's resolution, don't spend so much money on Apple gear.
Yeah, that one's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the idea of automating more, I like that.
I'll spend less on Apple gear this year.
Well, in your defense, you just bought a crap ton, didn't you?
Well, yes. Yeah. So it'll just last.
Okay,
maybe I won't buy any Apple products this year.
That's
sell
just
my
crazy
stock.
talk.
Yes.
Well, we know I'm not buying a phone.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. There's no mini. Brittany doesn't buy a phone.
Oh, but you don't know there won't be a mini.
That
is the current
SE.
rumor.
Yeah.
Brittany, I think it's a safe bet you're not buying a phone.
Yeah. I got a pretty great computer. So.
Webb just threw in that he resolves to get more of a paperless office, save a tree or two. He says he's about 75% there now.
The first step is just tossing lots of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. or develop a workflow where you can scan the paper into something like DevonThink, which is what I do, and then go and have, those big plastic bins and put your paper there and seal it up. And just, because there are some things that if you ever did need to go and get that original document, it might take you time, but I don't spend time filing anything. It's just because once DevonThink does it, then it's searchable.
Only if it's something that you'll actually need. Otherwise, because I know people who get lost in those weeds and they actually aren't things they needed. But you can definitely save trees by turning on paperless stuff too. Those are good.
Yeah, that's true too.
But you know what I mean? Like there's no point in scanning something and managing it if you don't actually need it.
But to me, that's the great thing about DevonThink though, is I can scan it. And,
you had to scan it.
That's
make sure you need it.
How do you know you don't need it until
if I can find it online, I don't need it.
Oh, well. If you have it on a piece of paper, you probably can't find it online.
Yeah.
Well, like bank statements, for example. I can get those online. I don't need them.
Only for like 18 months.
Usually you can pay them if you really need it. Oh, sometime I need to hire an accountant and they're going to hate me.
Yeah. David, you're on. I see you talking, but you're on mute, so we have no idea what wisdom you're showing.
I'm sorry. It's not like it's your father's when they would save all your tax returns from 1968 and still have them to this day.
I do have my tax return, but it was also always a PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are they from 1968?
Not 68.
There
would be real difficult, guy.
Yeah, since
there were tax returns.
Back then, it was just a raw EPS file.
No, that's right.
All right. Well, anything else on the resolution front? I guess not. Oh, okay. Well, Bob Beach is changing the subject. He says, my cleaning cloth arrives today.
Yeah,
yes, I did buy one.
There you go, Bob Beach.
David, how many times have you shown that cloth? Do you just keep it there, in hand?
I keep it right here in my keyboard, just in case.
Just in case that you can show it. It's like, here, I've got one.
I don't get it. I do
Hey, it's the first I've seen it.
Oh, Andrew, you haven't. Oh, you've missed it, man.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
Does it have an Apple stamp on it?
I get chuckles every time I do it, so it's got to be there.
Andrew, the cleaning cloth.
Yeah, the joke isn't getting old, so yeah.
Well, the cleaning cloth.
He mentioned it, so
than you have.
It worked.
The other second story I wanted to talk about is this story, and I want to make sure I get her name right. Brooks Nader is a Sports Illustrated model. And Jeff, I'll let you summarize her story because you did it so nice and succinctly. Okay.
Model. She goes bar hopping and on her way home finds that someone has dropped an AirTag into her bag and kind of freaks out, rightly so. There you go. But that's the story.
Okay, but you left out, or Brittany, I think you were the one we were talking pre-show. What's the most important thing about the story?
Well, I don't know if you said the part that she got the alert and that's how she found it.
Oh, no, I didn't say that part.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how she found the AirTag before she got home. She got an alert.
Was this the one that stayed in a hotel overnight? Because
I don't know.
Was that a different one? Because there was one that I thought it was found in the car and she didn't go home. She went to a hotel overnight. And then the next day went to the police.
I would have just driven right to a police station.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was like very, like 2 a.m. and she was tired. And she wasn't really sure what was going on. So,
but did she keep the AirTag?
She didn't find it. She was getting this person I'm talking about. She was getting alerts. She was like, what is going on? And I think she didn't maybe know what it was. And so she decided to go get a hotel. And then the next day she figured it out. This may be a different story. So I think there's been more than one story over the last month.
Well, the one thing you said there, Jim, is or whoever said it, is the right thing. Go to the police station.
Yeah.
Go to the police station. And for that matter, hand them the AirTag, because.
Yep. Well, she hadn't found it.
You go to the story I'm hearing about. And then you find it.
And I think the story I heard about it was found in her car somewhere, like under the bumper.
That must be
or
a
something.
different one because
I think so.
Because this one, she was walking, I believe.
Yeah, so it's a different story.
Yeah.
Either way, the important thing is that it was an AirTag and not a tile, or she wouldn't have found it.
Right.
Or one of a dozen Bluetooth tracker knockoffs. So we don't want to
Also, that she had an
necessarily
iPhone, because
but
if
yes,
she had an Android, she may not have known it yet.
So, at the risk of sounding like we're biased, the lesson here is that if you're in the Apple ecosystem and they try to use an AirTag, you will receive notification.
If you have an iPhone. Now, they do have an Android app now, but it's apparently not very good. And you have to proactively run it to check. And a lot of people don't even know, that this exists. So they don't even know to download the app. I'm not sure what I think about this, but I think the flip side is, the Apple one is probably much better at tracking you because they track based on other devices. And so a tile is only going to track if there's somebody that's running the tile app in the area.
Or if someone has an Echo in the area, because Tile partnered with Amazon for Sidewalk.
So does that mean it's installed on? Oh yeah, but I think it's only recent Echoes. It's only Echoes from like the last few months or maybe a year at the most.
It's several years back. Like the original Echoes, no. But if you have an Echo that's like 3 or 4 years old, oh yeah, it'll work. And actually, I think I have one that's even older, like the Echo Dot 2. It works with that.
And that has the right kind of Bluetooth?
Uh-huh.
So
yeah.
John Voorhees did an interesting piece, though, today as we record this on Mac Stories that questioned, and I'm pretty sure he was the originator, but if not, you can go and find his article, and he gives credit to the originator. That are we seeing more tracking because of these Bluetooth tiles, whether it's tile, AirTag, or whatever, or are we just more aware of it because now we're getting, first of all, high-profile swimsuit models from Sports Illustrated, and the Apple's, the world's richest company.
That was my thought too. I mean, to Jim's point, I think it's very sad and kind of horrific that are we only, I don't know what the term is. Is it like survivorship bias or something where, these victims, we're only hearing about the victims that have iPhones because that's what these things can detect. They can detect the AirTags. They do have an Android app. It's not very good, like you guys were saying. Or is it just Apple is kind of, it's one of the more popular companies, and maybe this kind of thing has been going all along, and we're only finding out about it now because of Apple? Like, what's going on here?
Well, I mean, if it was happening before, that is not knowable, really. Like, to know the numbers if nobody's getting alerts, right? How do you know?
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, yeah, stuff Apple does makes more news, but that also includes the release. So more people have had the idea since Apple released AirTags, I'm sure, because more people knew about AirTags than Tile.
And there's also been for quite a while, you can get a GPS tracker that doesn't even rely on anything external.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and maybe
that's
what
probably
what
the really bad people use.
But everything that you guys are talking about is much, much more expensive.
Right.
The AirTag is $25. If you're
tiles
going
are cheap too.
Well, if you're going to get a GPS tracker, which I don't even know what those cost, so I'm guessing in the hundreds of dollars. And number one, it's going to be much bigger than an AirTag. Then you have to hide.
Pet trackers are pretty small.
Yeah,
GPS pet trackers.
I don't think you're right about that. Maybe slightly bigger, but not.
Well, regardless, but they are probably more expensive, and it just seems like the reason why it's part of the reason why it's so prevalent right now is that AirTags are cheap. And if you're somebody who's looking for particular cars as you cruise through the cities, oh, there's one, and you just put them on a bunch of different cars, and it doesn't matter if you lose one or two because you're going to make it up from just a single car.
Okay, if this was something that was like a serious issue, this would have been happening before AirTags.
It probably was.
But how do you know it wasn't?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, we don't know. So I don't think AirTags is actually triggering this problem. I think it's probably more or less shedding light on it. And unfortunately, the light is being focused on the wrong part, which is Apple, and not the larger problem, which is the how easy and inexpensive it is to get trackers that can be planted on people and cars.
Well, this is why Apple built in the protections that they did. And I think the bigger question is, why didn't the other companies that make these kinds of trackers do the same?
I agree. I think what Apple has done with AirTags actually makes it the worst choice for trying to secretly track someone, because this is the one where it's the easiest to get a notification that you're being tracked.
So
that's not the headline.
Yeah.
No, because that's not the sexy, sensational story that that's going to get clicks.
So I just did a quick search on GPS trackers on Amazon. There's a Land C54 GPS tracker, $29.95. There's a Tracky 4G LTE mini GPS tracker, magnetic, $12.88.
Wow.
I don't believe. I think.
But how do you?
That's a counterfeit that doesn't work. I think.
I don't know.
But how do these get back in contact with you?
Don't know.
Well, you just said 4G.
I haven't stalked anybody.
Now, one problem is battery life or something like that. There, the AirTag will run for a long time, but.
Well, also these things, the problem with ones that are 4G is they have to be registered into an account someplace, which means that if they're found, people will know who it is that owned it. Whereas with AirTags, you buy them for $100 and nobody really knows.
That's not true, because you have to activate them so they're attached to someone's Apple ID.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
I was just going to say so.
But the thing is, I mean, whoever slips it in there, is it activated on there? That it has to be activated on that person's account that's putting in.
If they're going to use it to track somebody, yes.
Yeah, it has to be on their account in order to track them.
So,
but then
presumably,
I'm sorry, their iPhone. Then the iPhone of the victim is eventually going to scan and say, "Hey, you have an unidentified AirTag that's nearby," and it should be doing a better job of finding it. Then it seems like it's there. You start reading all these stories. I was reading an article that was in the New York Times about it from the John Voorhees article, and I mean, it just keeps. It seems like it's becoming kind of a rash of issues. People going to TikTok and talking about it, and Instagram, and it's quite the social media craze right now. Why is this happening? But you really haven't heard a ton about it, other than you're seeing these articles, and then that person who is the more of a mainstream celebrity being a model and on the Today Show, and so it is getting media attention.
Our discussion of tracking and stalking with Apple AirTags and other Bluetooth devices, and the way that the press is portraying it, continues in the next edition of Mac Voices. I hope you'll join us. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.